Yeah.
So my broker she used an agency to help her find one, and they charge I think $200 to $300 to help you find one. And but they interview, they see your criteria, your price range. So I feel like people get overwhelmed, like where do I start? And so they do that, and then if it doesn't work, they're guaranteed to change out for free if to find someone that works for you.
Oh, that's really cool.
All right.
People joining.
And just so everybody knows, we're officially live on YouTube here, and right now, are you going to be getting up at all and saying it's just going to be mostly focused on the screen, right?
Well, I can. Okay. Where would you like me to be?
I think you're fine where you are. I just want, when we set it up, I just want to have it a little bit closer, but I think you're good right now.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'm gonna get us started, guys. Actually, will you just do a quick sound check and unmute so we can make sure we can hear you?
Okay, can you hear me?
We got you. Okay, perfect. Beautiful. Well, many of you know us. We've got Amy and Mary online, and probably more people showing up here soon. I feel like you hear the door opening.
If that doesn't work, I'll figure it out.
We're here to talk about supercharging your short-term rental with Ashleigh, who is someone that I met in my mastermind. So I'm in a mastermind. Come on up, Brady. Good to see ya. I'm in Sarah and I are in a mastermind. Ashleigh's in it as well. And it's a national mastermind focused on buying creatively, so buying with seller finance, buying sub 2, and selling on lease option ideally, which works in a lot of like Midwest markets. I mean, Sarah's done it here, so it can work here too, but it's just like less common, I think, on the West Coast. So we're part of this mastermind, and we were on a call talking about different things that we're offering. So we built out the Primo Private Money Lending Academy this year, and Ashleigh was building out her short-term rental supercharging program that she'll tell you about. And so we were, just talking kind of behind the scenes, and she was talking about her offer, and I was like, I need what you're selling. Help me, because I have a short-term rental in La Pine that we've had for I think 2 or 3 years now, and I just kind of set it and forget it. I put it on autopilot. I just threw it up on Airbnb, got myself a subscription to Price Labs without really knowing what I was doing, and I just like kind of let it do its thing. And at some point, I just like lost bookings, and people, hey, good to see you, Caitlin. Welcome. Thank you. So like my bookings were going down. I think I don't know. She told me what I was doing wrong, which was amazing, and literally turned my short-term rental around in less than a month with what she taught me, and like just some hacks that she helped me with in terms of guest communication, tools, learning how to work with the algorithm of Airbnb and VRBO. So I also got on VRBO with her. Hey, come on in, welcome. Yeah. So anyways, that's enough about my story, but basically, I want you to know that I have used Ashleigh's system.
It's real.
It's legit, like the numbers that I put in the invite, on Meetup, like, I don't know, she probably has it in front of her, but like my bookings went from basically 0 for March to only having 2 days of vacancy, and in like a couple of weeks. So, I mean, it's been amazing. So much so that I bought another one, and I was like, okay, I feel confident enough to like get solid bookings and be able to outperform even the numbers that I was seeing, like the historical rental numbers of this property that I bought in Hood River. So she just gave me the confidence to keep going, even though we know that it can be right now a tougher market for short-term rentals. So let me get back to our presentation and get us on track here. So just so everyone knows, we're part of, we've created the Central Oregon Investor Network. We have folks that join us from all over the country, sometimes Canada, so we do say we're international sometimes. But Sarah and I are realtors. We're both investors ourselves. I'm also a private money lender. Sarah will be very soon. We've created the Primo Private Money Lending Academy for people who want to learn how to lend safely, and we connect you with great borrowers as well. So I think everyone here is on our mailing list, but if you're not, snap that QR code. That'll get you on our Top Picks email, where you'll find out about all of our monthly meetups, our weekly summer power hours, and our candid commentary on the best investment properties that we find in Central Oregon every week. So we're going to talk about unlocking the secrets of your short-term rental business, and so Ashleigh is going to
Pause. Have you started recording.
Oh, yes, Sarah, you're the best. I have not started recording. But I'm gonna. Okay, I hope everyone's okay with being recorded. Sweet. Okay, so agenda, we'll just do a quick round of intros, and then we'll talk about short-term rental tools, guest communication, dynamic pricing, expense management, making sure you can keep your expenses low while getting your revenues up, and some different property management system options you can use that are relatively inexpensive. Like I think I pay $50 a month for my 2 properties, which is way cheaper than paying a property manager. Sorry, we have one in the room. So, but it's all good. Like there's a time and a place for both. Absolutely. Not everyone has time to do their own. Oh, there's people who want to join the call. Let me let them in. All right, and then yeah, we'll just keep rolling. So we'll just do some quick intros. Oh, there's Landon. I get it. All right, well let's do some intros. Let's see, you want to start over there?
My goodness, I'm Carly. I'm a recent Bend migrant, and I'm looking to get into STR. So I don't have one yet, but this seems perfect for me, so that I'm perfect when I start.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been here for 2 months.
We're so glad you finally made it.
Thank
you.
Hey there, my name is Cheryl Wakeford. I've been doing real estate for about 10 years. I've done VRRs, flips, new construction, and I'm interested in STRs. I have a few properties in Austin that are within 10 minutes of downtown, but they're not in that core. So I don't know if they would be really good, strong, versus just a long-term, mid-term rental. So I'm very interested in this presentation to see if that would work.
And mine is in La Pine, which is not a prime market, so we can speak to that. And my numbers are way better than anyone would expect from La Pine. All right, Brady.
My name's Brady, live in Redmond. We have a small ADU short-term rental on our property that we self-manage, so I'm just hoping to learn some tricks to, increase the revenue.
John.
My name is John. I've been in Bend about 8 years, and I have a little bit of experience with STRs. This was many years ago. I managed a house for my family. It was like just a big house, but we had some bad experiences, so stopped doing that. And now the house we have here in Bend, we're thinking about at some point renting it. It might be a short term, it might be a mid-term, so that's why I'm here, just wanting to learn more. So thanks.
Yeah. Corey.
I'm Corey. I'm also an agent here with Sarah and Suzanne. So I pick their brains and take advantage of everything they offer. I have only owned long-term rentals so far. I have a few in the Midwest, and I have one here in Bend. But yeah, interested in short-term rental options as well. So.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Dunley. I own a short-term rental property management company here in Central Oregon called Soul Path Properties. I'm at 9 doors right now. I'm looking to grow, and I'm always looking to better my service for my clients, higher occupancy, and make them very happy. So.
I love it. Yes. Awesome. Okay, let's go top to bottom. Amy, welcome. Tell us a little bit about you. Do you own any STRs and what you're hoping to learn today?
Hi, thank you. And I apologize for not in video or in person. I am also somewhat multitasking, working my 9-to-5 job right now, but definitely paying a lot more attention to this right now than work. I do not own any STRs at the moment. Very much a newbie, just looking to gain as much knowledge as I can. So looking forward to learning as much as I can from all the folks in this group here.
Perfect. We're glad you're here. And then Justin, welcome. Good to see you on there.
Hi.
Oh, it's Anne.
Yeah, and I saw Justin's face. I saw him checking his hair in the camera.
Deer Lane, Sun River Cabin, and we have a few short-term rentals. Well, I guess right now we just have one condo in Center Mountain short-term rental, and we live in Portland and bed, and we just got this cabin that we're gonna short-term rent, but it has a lot of surprises, so it's probably gonna be a while till we get that going. And yeah, so we're always up for learning about how to make the short-term rentals even better.
Fabulous. All right, Landon.
really good?
Yep.
Sweet. My name is Landon. I own quite a few short-term rentals, mostly down in Phoenix, Scottsdale, Arizona, as well as up in Montana. We self-manage all of them right now. And then for a while, I used to do some short-term rental consulting stuff, but I want to kind of learn maybe what's new and what I'm missing out on that we can help automate or increase revenue, of course. So, yeah.
Fabulous. Mary.
Hey, I'm also joining online today because I'm also in my 9 to 5 right now, but I have one long-term rental in La Pine, and I'm looking to either do a midterm or short-term rental as my next investment. So just here to learn everything.
Yay. So fun to see so many familiar faces. All right, well, let's move on to our guest of honor, Ashleigh. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Suzanne, for having me on. Suzanne's a rock star. She gave a little background that we're in our mastermind together, and we work together on her short-term rentals. And it was good to hear that a lot of y'all are in it and what you're trying to look to get out of this. So hopefully everything will align with everybody's questions, and we'll have some time at the end. At the time, my presentation, I tend to get, I talk a little bit. I'm very passionate with it. So keep me on board. So I'm Ashleigh Seay. I live in the Knoxville, Tennessee area. One of the best places to live. We're right next to the Smoky Mountains. Is one of the biggest attractions in the world. So I do a lot of STRs up there. As you can see, we've done a little bit. We've got long-term rentals. We've done short-term. We've done flips. We've done wholesaling. We've done a lot in real estate. And then I did property management for a while. So the one that said they do property management, it's an active job because you're constantly being a long-term property manager. You sign that lease and you hope you ain't got to deal with them for another year other than maintenance calls. But short-term, you're constantly having to look at a calendar and make sure that you're doing the best for the client. So kudos to you in that. So that's, we'll get started then. Yeah, so basically I'll try to cover a lot of different topics, but I think everything that we bullet point, this is what people are looking for. How do we maximize our property's potential? We always want to make more money. Drive higher bookings and profitability, simplify your business through automation, enhance guest communication, and ensure compliance with STR regulations. That's always a big one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the fun part, right?
So right off the get-go, what's 4 game changers to turn your STR into a cash machine? And a lot of this is the 10,000-foot view, but I think it's really good value information that we can give to just try to kickstart any of y'all's businesses. We'll move on. So the first thing when you think of anything, doesn't matter if you're a real estate agent, if you're long-term, short-term, everybody will say location, location, location. So where your property is located, that's a really big key area. What amenities do you have? I'll go a little bit more in depth, but what is your property or your area? What is unique to both or one or the other that would make people that want to go purchase a hotel want to stop and go purchase your home? So you have to start thinking from a different perspective. Nightly pricing, how to control that, how to get the most out of it and optimize it. And the last is automation and tools.
Okay, hang on. Doing lots of things here. All right, there we go.
Yeah. So the big thing with location, I always tell everybody buy with strategy. The way the market seems uneasy, it's a lot of fear mongering with STRs that they're dying, they're dead. But if you really go out in the market and buy a property, and this is what I tell my clients, that said, I want to buy STRs, let me go. I said, buy the property that would make sense as a long-term rental. And if the numbers make sense as a long-term rental, then purchase it. And then if you make it into an STR and it doesn't do well, you can convert back and still make money. Unfortunately, in my area, none of that makes sense as a long-term rental. So I can't always, it works if you're buying in certain areas, but for mine, they're all overpriced, but they know they're in a tourist attraction area. What does your property offer in the area? Like I just stated, we have the Smoky Mountains. Dolly Parton put that on the map. but also think about the history. There should be a reason that people are coming. Is there jobs coming in that you know that they have corporate people coming in, but they don't stay that long? There's places to attract to that. Also, start looking at the small city and rural areas. A lot of them, the cities are restricting it so much, the STRs, that they don't care about the county. So you may be able to slide in and get a property in the county that the city don't really care about, and you can make just as much money, because people don't mind commuting at this point. In some areas like myself, in the South, we drive everywhere. We're not the luxury of New York or somewhere that has lots of public transportation. And then try to look somewhere that's low restriction areas, somewhere that you may start. If you're looking for a different area outside of where you live, start going and looking at the council meetings. Call the restriction, what do they call it? Zoning boards. Start calling them and see if there's anything on the docket to discuss zoning changes or anything that they have with STRs. So people always come to me and like, tell me where to buy. I'm not in that specialty of telling you where to buy, but I like to just give you enough information to tell you where to go to make sure you're buying in the right location.
And so one thing that we recommend here, depending on your goals, is like anything outside the city limits of Bend proper, which you can see on Deschutes County information, is like fair game. So you can get your certificate of occupancy or whatever, certificate of authority, and then you just have to submit quarterly reports for your earnings, and it's super easy. So, and then there's places like Sun River where Justin and Ann are, where there's no restrictions. There's places like that here in Bend as well, like Mount Bachelor Village, Tethero, and a few other places that don't have any restrictions, but for the most part within tourist areas there's going to be restrictions within the cities.
Okay, amenities. How can we set y'all apart to be profitable? So I try to tell y'all, put yourself in the guest experience. When you're looking at it, when you're scrolling through VRBO, Airbnb, and any of these sites, what would make your property pop out from anybody else's? And then the other, you're creating an experience for the guests. So you're now memory makers for somebody. So when they come to your property, how do you feel when you walk in your property? Because right now, when I walk in my properties, I think of work, because you always are there to do the repairs. But when I first bought the properties, I remember how I felt walking in and just thinking, I don't have to clean this place. I can just come relax. I like the fire. So imagine how that feeling felt, and that's how you're going to transpose that to your listing and try to pull people into that feeling, because we buy based on feelings, right? So don't make it just like another hotel and a snapshot of your neighbor. You want to make it stand out. I put in here, a lot of places have a lot of history, industrial areas where they're building, they want to bring people to the area. They still look for short-term rentals until the company can get them placed somewhere. Local attractions. When it comes to furnishings, you want that's kind of your preference. I'm not a designer, but I know a lot of people are really good at that. I always phone a friend on that stuff. But just make sure you have the right things. Go look at what your neighbors that are doing really well, what did they have that will be different than yours? If you have a IKEA sofa, but someone had a leather one that was electric, I think someone would pick the electric one, depending on the person. Theming your properties. I have one friend that it was pretty cute. She did, who was it? Bigfoot. Oh. So every picture she had, she dressed up in a Bigfoot outfit and took pictures of herself throughout the house in the Bigfoot. And I thought that was beautiful. So she put herself on the front porch, drinking coffee in a Bigfoot, and she took pictures of the bed with her on it, and then in the tub and stuff. So things that just makes it stand out. She buys places that's in history areas. So she does shadow cutouts. She'll go to local libraries and thrift shops and buy stuff to try to bring the history of the place to things. You don't have to go that far out, but I think it sets your place apart from others. Games and entertainments. Up here, they love video games, pool tables, air hockeys. The other thing is, of course, hot tubs. Everybody loves that up here. But start thinking about these things. What do you want to put in your property? And then landscaping. For me, when I think of landscaping, it's the mountain views. But for different areas out west, actually, based on Suzanne's pictures, y'all have beautiful mountain views. So if your properties have those, definitely highlight it. Don't just take a picture of the front of the property. This is not, you don't have to be a realtor by those laws where you have to take a front picture of the house. You can actually take a picture of the mountains and make that be your main post. Okay. So maximizing earning through nightly pricing. So we did talk about dynamic pricing. Suzanne, I'll go a little bit more in depth, but I posted this graph to just kind of, anybody loves data in here? Y'all can raise your hand, or got any data analysis? Perfect. Yeah. So when I was doing everything in real estate, once it was done, I was kind of like, it's done. What do I do now? But when STRs kind of came into our portfolio, it was fun to me because I have an engineering background, so I love looking at data. So I track everything with my STR, expenses, nightly rates, the occupancy, and then I trend it. And now I've got several years, so I know kind of how to judge every month for my property. But I wanted to kind of show, to the left is your daily rate. So that's how much it costs per night for your property. To the right of the graph shows the occupancy. So the red line shows the occupancy rate. And down below on the x-axis is the month in which, you know, you're renting. So what I wanted to highlight, so if you look at January, the occupancy was 40%. And the nightly rate was 300. So if you're looking at your data as you're going, I would say you're overpriced for what the market is. So if I looked at a month like that and I'm like, okay, well, I need to drop my price and try to get my occupancy to go up. You can do the math. There's a point where it doesn't matter. But something this extreme, you would say, okay, I need to make some adjustments quickly because I'm losing out on this occupancy. And then if you look at June, you can see it was 100% occupancy, which some people would look at that and be like, that's fantastic. I was 100% booked, but then you see you only made $200 per night. Well, I would say if you booked up to 100%, you're maybe too cheap. So then you would have to look at, well, I might have could have got $250 per night at an 80% occupancy or an 87%. So these are the kind of numbers that I like to look at for my clients and try to see what we can do to maximize their income. So I'm not always looking at nightly rate, occupancy. It's a fine line on how you maneuver that. So dynamic pricing is definitely something you want to add to your portfolio, or not portfolio, your automation cards, what you have in your deck of cards, because a lot of people are like, well, I just went on Airbnb and I put $150, but that's $150 for 30 nights. Dynamic pricing, are a lot of y'all familiar with that?
Yes.
I get some heads. Okay, good. So you know the power of how you could be losing money if you don't have that, the ability to maneuver the pricing. Another thing with dynamic pricing, when I do a one-on-one call throughout the process, and one of them is going over their dynamic pricing with them and talking about all their settings. And one of them, for another client, we were looking at some of the holidays that showed up, and they did allowed 2-night bookings for these holidays. Well, I said, you just lost $1,000 because whenever someone comes into those races in the area that they're at, they will book longer days. But someone came in and just booked 2 days at the high price. If they had set a 3-day minimum for those days, they would have picked up another $1,000 easily because I had looked at their last year's data and someone had booked for that length of time. So when you're looking at things like that, it really matters to focus on where your holidays are. Optimize your orphan nights. Orphan night is if you're booked Monday through Wednesday and then Friday through Saturday, you have Thursday that's vacant. This is tolerance, risk tolerance date. My orphan dates, I'm like, I go ahead and I allow them to book 1 night. They pay the same amount for cleaning fee. I don't let orphan nights be shown ahead of time because people will have time to book a party. in our area. So orphan nights, I go ahead and I allow that to be done. If you're like, well, I'd like a 4-night minimum, but let's say you have 2 nights that are free, go ahead and just let someone book that for 2 nights. But like I said, that's your risk tolerance. You do what you feel comfortable with, and I work with everybody the same, and I'm like, it's whatever you feel comfortable with, don't let me pressure you, but this is what I would think if you wanna optimize the money. But if you know your area and you're like, nope, there's too many younger kids, they wanna party, it's too much of a risk for me, by all means, don't do that. And then analyze your data, I've talked about that. A lot of softwares, we'll go over some. You can download it and create your own spreadsheets. A lot of them, they already have a menu that you can look at it per month, but I like it to physically be charted like this, and not all systems will be, and I'll show you an example of what I created in Excel, just because I like to look at every possibility for my data. And then holidays and events, dynamic pricing does the best it can to go out in the community and find all the holidays and dates. But they have a new feature now that you can go in and actually, if you don't see a holiday or a date that you know, maybe it's just something local, but no one else has picked up on it, you can go in and they'll add certain times for a holiday and date, and then you can start adjusting if you want to go up higher during those times. One client we did find a holiday that area had not captured, so it was pretty good to know your systems and the options that you can do to create that.
So
Any questions on this?
I just want to clarify that you're talking about like events and things that are happening in a certain geographic, Central Oregon, Bend, Austin, Texas, and then Landon's got some in the Phoenix area, and then Justin and Ann have some in Central Oregon as well. So, just for everyone to know that like there may be festivals or race events or what was the county fair, the rodeos, those kinds of things. And like Ashleigh's talking about the Kentucky Derby, she manages a property or has helped some clients that are in Kentucky, that have a property that's near the racetrack. And so just making sure that you're adding those things, like for you in Redmond, like the Farewell Fest, like that's a huge draw for people, and make sure that you're adding those dates so that you can capitalize on that dynamic pricing.
Yeah, and in dynamic pricing, it'll actually list out everything that they've captured for your area, and if you don't see it on that list, then that's when you know you need to go in and add it. And then it'll start tracking it for the other properties, and then eventually they'll have an algorithm for it. I mean, they're AI driven, they're smart, so eventually the algorithm will pick up and start increasing everybody's property. So your small task will end up making it better for everybody else's properties, but that's the price of using a commonized system that a lot of people use. Okay, as much as we'd like to say, let's work harder, not smarter, that's what I say at the W-2 job, but we do want to work smarter and not harder. In automation and the way AI is going, there's always more stuff that's coming available that we can add to the portfolio of tools, and they're very inexpensive for the short-term rental side. And then 2, it scales your business drastically, just because it allows you to get out of it a lot, and a lot of stuff will work in the background for you, so you can focus on other things at hand. Okay, so and you put it on multiple platforms, it'll actually pull in that property on Booking, VRBO, Airbnb. There's so many other sites that you can list on, but it goes out and it ties all those systems into like one inbox, one calendar. It helps you prevent double bookings. So channel manager, there's a lot of them, Guesty, OwnerRez. They can start small, and you can pay up to a lot of money per property. So you really just need to understand what questions do you want to ask, and then what features do you want. Me and Suzanne sat down and went and interviewed a company that I suggested. So it helped her understand, does she want that company or not? And it helped her think about different ways that it would add benefit to her portfolio. Automated messages, this is one that is very beneficial. As soon as someone books, you can start setting up messages to do that. Airbnb allows it, but you can't do a whole lot. And then what happens if you get a VRBO booking? You can't, Airbnb's automated messages won't send a VRBO. It does some weird stuff. So you can do a lot of automated messaging, which saves time, and it allows you ways to automatically check up on your guests. It also does auto reviews. That's a big one. If you want to stay in contact with the algorithm, you should always review every one of your guests. And then I set up auto reviews. And some people are like, well, wonder if they trash your place or damage it. That's always the first question I get. My cleaners come in as soon as the guests check out. They usually try to do same day clean unless something happens. They'll message me. You can go into the system and pause that auto review. I set it up where it reviews them 3 days after they check out. So I at least have myself 3 days to stop the review, and I can go in and manually give them a lower rating. So that's how that one works. So that's just some of the broad features of the channel manager. Any questions on this one?
Is there a specific channel manager, or is it called channel manager?
No, so
Or
she
is
said,
it like
yes,
Go ahead.
the owner res.
Hospitable.
I use Hospitable because it was
That's the best one.
It was the best for what I wanted to spend, and she literally sat on the phone with me, and we interviewed a sales associate, trying to figure out if it was the right fit for me, and we even got a discount for the first 3 months because Ashley told me to ask, which was
Sweet.
great.
Okay, cool.
So that was awesome, and then the automated messages have totally been a game changer for me, because she set me up with a list of 6 key messages through the customer journey that help, you'll probably talk about this too, but help train the algorithm to show my property higher up in search results. And for one big pain point I had with the automated messages just in Airbnb was I couldn't get the guests to put the garbage out. And it seems like a little thing, but there's no recycling in La Pine, and the garbage is always full. So with Hospitable, I could make it on a certain date, on Wednesday ahead of Thursday, whereas Airbnb is only relative to check-in and check-out dates. So there was no option for me to do an automated message for garbage day within just Airbnb. So it's helped so much. And then within Hospitable, there's a button to improve your communication with AI. So I just write 4 words, and it makes it sound so pleasant and just wonderful and kind, and so I always just sound like this great, gracious host, even if I don't feel that way.
It's been great. That's what I use too, Suzanne, with all of my
Is it?
properties, and it
Okay.
makes it so much easier to just completely automate. Even there's a new function, Ashley probably is this is old school Landon, but where I upsell every one of my guests for early check-in, late check-out. And if you want to book a date, if there's an open date after your stay or before your stay, I'd automatically sends that message to them. We add $5 or $6 grand a year just by having an automated message for late check-in, late check-out, or adding a day, a random Monday that wouldn't randomly book. And so those automated messages are game changers.
Yes, totally.
Yeah, he's talking, the upsell feature of Hospitable, not all channel manager, the one I have does not have that feature. But for Suzanne, we did do an upcharge for if they wanted to stay an extra night if she had a vacancy. And we just threw in hey, for 20% off, do you want to stay an extra night and it's no additional cleaning fees? If the person's really, really good about that property and you're providing that experience, they're like, yeah, I'll take it. And the fun part about AI, one message that when we were showing her AI, was it something about a raccoon? Someone, and you were like, how do I even respond to this?
Oh, probably. I don't remember.
I don't know if it was a raccoon, but I said, here, this is what we do. And I put, it is nature. Why do you even care? And I said, AI, make this nice. And it did. It made Suzanne so wonderful.
Are you using any other AI type things within your Airbnb operations other than messaging?
Let's see. Let me think about that. With mine in particular, I don't get into a whole lot of them. Let me think on that one. Did we do anything else?
Main messaging.
Yeah, mainly, the channel managers for the messaging. I'm gonna tell you, I've held on to one that's like $20 a month. It gets on my nerves, and I'm stubborn. I've helped Suzanne set up her whole hospitable, and I'm like, I need to change. But it's one, you set up other people's properties and you don't set up your own.
Oh, I know a little bit about
So
that.
I've kept it pretty low, but there are so many different sites. I've done Brain Freeze, but I canceled that one. Never figured out how, I just did it on my own, figured out how to get to number one rather than using their software. There's some maintenance ones you can tie into. There's a whole lot of different ones. I have not felt the need to do it because I have so many of my services set up with people locally. Because our area is 1000% set up for short-term rental only, not people living there. So there's a lot of services I purchased just in the Smokies.
One thing the channel manager also helped me with that was huge was I get direct bookings, so people that have stayed there before, their family members or whatever, and I used to like keep track of that sort of on the Airbnb calendar, and one time I didn't, and then I had a double booking, and it was a disaster, and thank God I had Ashleigh because she helped me so much. Like I literally had 2 people in my house at the same time that didn't know each other. Anyway, she helped me. But now any direct booking, I can enter into the channel manager as my own booking, and then they get all the same automated messaging as any Airbnb or VRBO guest, which has been huge.
We ended up getting a 5-star for that one.
For my double booking, yeah.
I have a quick
That
question.
guy, yeah, that guy called back. It was pretty awesome. He was just like, hey, thanks so much.
This can wait till the end too if you want, but I just, this morning, legit, got denied. I had a like a $14,000 direct booking over the month of June at one of my properties. They stayed, they left, but at one point they decided they didn't want to use a portion of the property and were demanding like a refund for a portion of it. So it was again, direct booking. So I didn't give it to them. And this morning, they filed a dispute against their credit card, and I lost $2,300 that they disputed. And so have you dealt with any of that kind of stuff in mitigating?
I have not. I've never heard of someone saying I didn't use it, but I don't know what your property entails. But if they stayed, I would have just said, hey, these are the books. They actually stayed at my property. Here's my, because I have keypads that record in and out. I have camera recording. So I would go back and find it and just say, no, they were physically at this property, and at this point, they're fraud. That's fraud.
That's exactly, I did. I provided all that information, and they didn't approve it. So it was,
wow.
yeah, kind of crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, a lawyer would, that's probably about $2,000 retainer.
Yeah, it's
so.
worth my time,
But yeah, I've never dealt with that one. That one's tough. Going on.
All right.
So going into more in dynamic pricing, you can optimize your nightly rates. This is all under the automation. So for cleaners, we've tried Turno with another client we work with, because I didn't know any cleaners. I Googled it, I searched the area, I couldn't find nothing, but I went to this app, and then it actually works pretty good. They gave her 3 options. If the first person doesn't show up, then they call the second one immediately. So she's still using this site and has kept up with the cleaners, and it's worked out really well. So all these little apps don't cost us much, so I like them. The way they're making things cheaper and a little bit more accessible, so you can go and find things in your communities. Security systems, cameras. Right now, you can keep them on your property. You just can't have them pointing at anything like a hot tub or somewhere where they could be privacy. One property I went to go rent one time, it had outdoor showers. I was like, that's pretty cool, but that would be a place you couldn't put cameras. If they report you, Airbnb will just knock you off their site, but they can't stop you from renting your property. You could still use other systems. Keyless entry locks. I use this Schlage. I want to say Slag because that's our mentor. So I always mess up the pronunciation. But I use this lock that's on Wi-Fi, and then I program the cleaners codes, my maintenance codes, my pesticide code, and then all my repair guys, and then the guests have a code that changes. So if the camera I don't pick up on it sometimes, at least my phone will ding and say, lock at the property, and it'll say yes, it'll say cleaner. So at least I know that people are in there. And it's good for the one property. I don't even put cameras. It's a honeymoon, and I want it to be completely light. I want it to stay that way for the guests. I don't want cameras there. But that keyless entry has come in 1,000 times over because the owner of my cleaning company thought their cleaners were there, and I was looking at the phone thing. And I was like, they're not there yet. So it just helps you to keep things accountable. For vendors, you can automate routine items. If you have vendors, some of the channel managers, you can set all that up and they'll get notifications. If you're running a property management, you may want to get a channel manager that actually caters to managers. And then you could have automated emails and messages that go out to your vendors, or if you have someone hired within your company, so they can get the notifications and then they can send pictures through that or let you know when it's complete. So you would have all the records of their repairs. Okay, proven strategies, how to fill your calendars and maximize earnings. I think that's the biggest thing. Everybody's like, well, how do I get more bookings?